Hello everyone, it's Open House Thursday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Morayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies of Your View. Hello ladies.
Good morning.
How you doing, Mariam?
I'm doing great. See, we need to give kudos when government does the right thing or responds to our... You know, I've been talking about the bridges when I come to work, and I've been talking about how the roads, the bridges are bad. No, the bridges, the one that goes over Ojo-Elegba, the one that yes, and then the next one that goes over
Stadium.
No, that's the Ojo-Elegba one. That one. Then there's the Jibowu Bridge.
Right.
Good. I've been talking about how the links are open, there are potholes on the bridges, and I talk about how winding they are, and then you have those containers with cars. But they have fixed the road and they're still fixing. It was just a smooth ride and it just made me feel so proud that our government is responsive.
Right,
thank you very much. I mean, this solves a lot of problems. Traffic was free-flowing today. I'd not passed there in a long time, so I decided to go by today.
The 30 minutes delay on that ramp going to Kurudu has reduced to like 15 minutes. I mean, it's still a bit of delay, but I mean, that was really bad before, but now they've patched it. Hopefully, after the rains, they can get some more permanent...
And since it's been done during the rainy season, I'm hoping that they're able to see if it stays or not. Because if it doesn't stay during the rainy season...
I don't think these are the real fixing. It's just the palliatives, because the governor has said it. After the rains, they will now do a proper fixing. Right now, it's just so for ease of traffic.
And I pray they are using the
ease of traffic.
Standard materials.
How you doing?
I'm doing amazing. So it's midterm. I had to go to school to pick up my daughter.
Reunion.
And reunion. Everybody had missed her. And when she got home, I just realized that she's getting a bit more organized. She woke up, she did her devotion, she dressed, laid the bed, she swept, without anybody telling her. And, some people made me, I had a conversation with a couple of ladies and they made me, after the conversation, I started feeling really guilty that I sent my daughter off to boarding house. But I knew that I needed to send her to the boarding house. You need to know your strengths and your weaknesses. And I'm not somebody who pretends to be perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm very, very disorganized. And I didn't want to raise children to see that it's only the helps that do the housework. I don't like housework. But if they go to the boarding house, they will know that it's okay for everybody to... Yeah.
She'll get that responsibility, responsible, and then you can come home. Don't feel guilty about it. I don't like boarding house. I'm still having that conversation with my husband because he refused. He had never been to a boarding house in his life. He stayed in the house all through. So I would like to go for my kids to go to
I still remember when I
house.
started boarding house, when I first got back home, my first holiday, I had this toothbrush for cleaning your toes. I mean, those that went to St. Louis College, just, now, you have toothbrush for your edges, toothbrush for your toes. When you have your bath, my mom used to look at me like,
what is happening?
What happened to you? You just become all this. Boarding house can be good.
I'm very good. I'm very grateful to God for all that He's aligning. I'm grateful to God for ideas, and I'm grateful for God for... I'm working towards an event. I'm supposed to do like a presentation, and I've been having like a mental block to write, and I needed to submit the presentation to them. So it's been, I woke up 5 a.m. yesterday, 5 a.m. today, and I seem to have a major clarity. I said, tomorrow we wake up 5 a.m. today. I'm really, 4 a.m. yesterday, 4 a.m. today. I'm grateful to God that at least ideas are flowing, and I'm able to put my thoughts together, because every time you're speaking, like I told Mariam, I said, you're meeting people and you don't want to say the things they've heard before in a way that they just feel like, oh, okay, another person is coming to talk to us again, and then they listen and they just go. You want to be able to transform, no matter how small
it is, make an impact.
I've been at some of your talks with people, and you sort of understand where you meet yourself. They'll give her like a topic, but then she sees the people that she's talking to.
That was a particular case. It was a very funny
had to change
event.
it up.
I just changed the topic because I saw that what they gave me wasn't going to flow with the people. They wasn't going to work.
But
being proactive.
I think we've seen that we've all grown, and I think it's good to see that people are doing great things, and it's something that you're proud of. That
the BON.
Oh, it was nice. I mean, I went there. I wasn't invited. I crashed. I went there because I knew quite a few CEOs of stations, and it was nice to see some people that I've seen in the past. It was a nice event. It was good, and I think TVC raised the standards. I mean, I've been to a few of these things, and TVC really took it seriously.
Wow.
And the event was well organized. It was well planned.
Wow, doing amazing.
Andrew's speech was phenomenal. He was, and we celebrated ourselves. We pushed ourselves out there. The delegates went on a tour around the premises. In fact, one CEO, one channel, I won't mention his name. After the tour, I said, okay, how far now? So did you like TVC? He said, Murayo, make we all just run our race. We cannot let competition. Let us compete. Everybody stay on their lane, please.
Telling you.
So I'm happy that it was a good meeting, and we have the new chairman of BON, which happened yesterday. So I'm happy that things went well. I'm so happy that TVC hosted this year and they raised the standard. Well done, TVC.
Good job, guys.
Okay, let's go on a break now. When we come back, we'll go through the front pages of the newspaper. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Okay, let's start with The Nation. Federal government sets December deadline to pay minimum wage arrears. Russia to complete Ajaokuta Steel and others. Court halts police recruitment. Air Peace to acquire 10 more planes. Stolen credit card information on Naira Marley's laptop. Let's start with Russia. I think that's the only people that carried Russia.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Yes. So Nigeria has struck a major deal with Russia, and they're doing a lot of things together. I'll just name them as, it was stated. So completion of the Ajaokuta steel rolling mill. Nigeria and Russia will work together in order to also improve efficiency in all sectors. So they'll be working as like a joint venture with NNPC. They'll also be helping us rehabilitate our refineries. They'll be helping us in prospection of oil and crude oil, like from a deep, they call it deep offshore. Then revive and solidify the venture between NNPC and their own counterpart, which is Gazprom, when it has to do with enormous gas potential. So they're doing that. They're going to support us in our rail infrastructure. So they're helping building a 1,400-kilometer rail from Lagos all the way to Calabar.
That's good.
Partnership in education. They'll be giving more scholarships. Agriculture, they're talking about wheat production. Supporting
so much China.
Yeah.
It's now Russia.
So it's Russia.
As long as it's not Nigeria solving Nigeria's
As long as
we are still the same.
As long as we are not selling our birthright totally to these people.
No.
That's the way. Let's just.
What I'm happy about Ajaokuta, I think that it is something that has huge potential that we just never made work. And so I'm hopeful.
Naira Marley, who has
Can take it in another paper. Let's do minimum wage.
It's all over the papers.
Okay,
let's take
the courts. So there's a case between the Police Service Commission and the Nigerian Police Force. The Nigerian Police Force had announced that they wanted to recruit 10,000 constables, and they had gone ahead with the process. But the Police Service Commission said that the Nigerian Police Force and the IG and the Minister of Police Affairs have no right to carry out such recruitment without the approval of the Police Service Commission. And so they've gotten injunction restraining the defendants and the officers from carrying out the recruitment. But however, the recruitment paper carried that the Twitter handle still said that recruitment will continue, even though there's a stay of action on that process.
Moving on to The Punch. Federal government also set for showdown over deadline. One die, many injured in Lagos multiple crashes. Fraud, EFCC tenders Naira Marley's laptop in court. 33 states can't survive without federal allocation, says report. ICPC arrests 26 FRSC officials for alleged extortion. Herdsmen consider legal option against Oyo grazing law. New minimum wage payment begins before December 31st, says FEC. We are owing 150 billion naira judgment debt, says Malami. Prediction on Nigeria's breakup may be fulfilled, says Jega. And sex for mark grades lecturers will face maximum penalties. Okay, let's start with the picture story of the accident. Who has that story? Yeah.
So this accident happened on Wednesday at the Otedola Bridge, and it was a truck collided with about 4 cars: a Toyota Hilux, Toyota Sienna, mass transit bus, and an ordinary bus. And so the truck driver lost. His brakes failed, and then he ran into the Hilux, pushed the Hilux under the mass transit bus and the other bus as well. And so the driver of the Hilux died immediately. Ooh. One lady, a female, was saved from the accident. They had to, FROSC and LASEMA had to...
Was the lady in the Hilux box or just...
No, it was in between, yes, yeah. So they used cutters and one of the equipment to separate to get her out. But she's really sad story. It's really painful.
Naira Marley, let's boss man. Let's take another story. Go ahead.
So let's take the ASU and federal government. You know, last week I took a story where they were talking about the integrated payroll and personal information scheme. So the federal government had put a deadline by October 31st. If you're a civil servant and you're not captured on that scheme, you would obviously just not get your payment. So ASU has been crying that this thing does not reflect their own peculiarities. But government is insisting on keeping the deadline the 31st of October. The federal government is accusing the ASU of sort of trying to push corruption, you know, like it's endorsing corruption by...
Not letting them join the PPP.
by you know, talking about why they think the scheme does not capture them. They're saying that's not what it's about, but they're looking to see if they can take the federal government to court.
It's a scheme to reduce all these ghost workers and all of that. So it's actually a good scheme. So they should probably table what they want to achieve.
All right, let's move on because I know Jega was saying in this article that the CIA's prediction that Nigeria might break up by 2015 might actually come to pass if we don't tidy up 2015, because they had predicted in 2015 that we would break up. Now, it was the elections where Jonathan actually conceded that kind of turned that prediction. So he's saying that if we do not tidy up the electoral process going forward, that we might actually break up by 2023. That was what he was saying in that article. Moving on down to the Nigerian Tribune. Only 18 states can meet monthly recurrent expenditure, says budget. Federal High Court kidnapped in Edo. Zenith Bank posts about 150 billion naira profit in Q3. World Bank's bailout to Nigeria's power sector hits $1.3 billion in 4 years. Malami demands 2.5%, but Bacha loot others for Justice Ministry. Let's talk about budget for a second. Go ahead.
Yes, so budget has presented the State of States report for 2019 on Wednesday in Abuja, and they have said that only 18 out of 36 states are able to meet their monthly recurrent revenues without borrowing. So they made a list of the states. I will run through them quickly. It says Southwest is only Lagos and Ogun states that are able. Northwest, all the states except Jigawa, South, Akwa Ibom, Cross River, and Edo. But Delta, Rivers, and Bayelsa are not able to meet their obligations in as much as they are receiving the 13% derivation as well. They're North Central, most of the states, Southeast, except Abia State. Now, they're saying that we need to get to a point where we can generate revenue because what has been even saving most of the states is because of the Paris Fund that they've been getting, refund, the refund for federal road project and the loans that they've been getting. So
what even got me in that article was the fact that Bayelsa State, as small as it is, their recurrent is 135 billion.
Because did you remember when they employed plenty aides? Bayelsa State had so much of
other states, Ebonyi has about 30 billion recurrent. Other states like Sokoto, 38 billion, but Bayelsa has 137 billion. Also, the fact that their expenditure is amongst Nigeria's expenditure generally is amongst the lowest. It's not because we're not spending; it's because we are not not making money. Revenue is really poor. And finally, Cross River presents an unrealistic budget that is never realized. According to them, they said that Cross River presents a budget of 1.0 trillion, and they only spend about 93 billion.
Why are you going there and you won't achieve it? But I think that we have productivity issue in Nigeria.
I think it's an interesting article.
People should read it.
And it sort of matches with what the Minister for Finance said during her budget presentation. I think when you...
go ahead.
Okay, I should just say it.
Yeah, just say it.
So during her presentation to the National Assembly, she spoke about why Nigerians would need to sort of, you know, we're going to have to take tough economic steps because we have to, with our revenue, she says it's not that we're over borrowing, it's just that we're not making enough revenue. When she looked at that, they've looked at what we've done so far for half year, it's 58% when it comes to revenue generation. But so they will need to take some tough economic steps in order
It's
to
interesting because people are scared that our debt
Yeah.
profile is increasing.
Yeah.
So,
Says no.
but she's like, we're still within borders.
Yeah, she says it's about, yeah, she does. She actually gave a number.
Going to the wrong places.
things,
So-
exactly.
Not even that, she's just saying that we're not making enough revenue. So this shows that with the states, like you have mentioned, we clearly are not.
Moving on very quickly to Daily Sun. Payment of new minimum wage begins December. Let's look at the story. Enugu Airport, FG makes U-turn on repair deadline. Buhari blows hot on sex for grades menace. Attacks on Nigerian businesses in South Africa, criminal says federal government. And flood killed 18, displaces over 41,000 in Niger. Yeah, go ahead.
So the
Sex for Max?
Yes, Sex for Max. The president was represented by the National University Commission, Dr. Suleiman Ramon Yusuf. It was at the 35th convocation in University of Ilorin, where they had 12,000 students graduating and about 130 of them graduating with first class. And he spoke about the fact that the educational sector is getting rejigged and funded. However, they would not allow things like sex for marks and sex for grades reduce the quality of graduates that were churning out, and so they would deal with it decisively. That's all.
Okay.
I was looking for the decisive men.
Enugu, remember, the Minister of Aviation had given us a grad that by December,
so
the airport will be ready. Anyway, they're now saying that after looking at it, saying that Easter 2020
Yes,
is
hopefully.
the new date for people. However, they've still declared a state of an emergency, and they're going to. They've not received. Have they received the money?
They've not received the
10
money.
billion naira, but at least we know that.
They say hopefully they will get it soon, and he's going to move his office to Enugu once the
Because there's a
construction
state
starts.
of emergency in the airport. And it's going to be one of the best airports in Nigeria.
When they are done.
We are looking forward to it, please. Just build these airports.
We'll go to Enugu.
Daily Trust. Revenue crisis. Tough measures inevitable, says federal government. Man 32 remanded in prison over murder. Reps to Navy will deal with you if found wanting. 36 days in 3.6 trillion naira debt, DMO. Drop in petrol, diesel prices fail to crush transport fare. And FEC orders payments of minimum wage by December 31st. Which story? Who has that?
Minimum wage.
Go ahead.
So, the Federal Executive Council has directed the Minister of Finance and Budget, Zainab, to effect the new minimum wage by 31st of December.
Yeah.
And he's saying that it's going to take effect from April 18, as they have discussed. The consequential adjustments should be used as a template for the state negotiation, so that, they will look through the consequential adjustments and see how they can balance. Because most states are saying that they may not be able to. Yes, NYSC as well. That's the Minister of Youth and Sport is saying that NYSC will benefit from minimum wage.
All right.
As well, so.
Thank you,
Can we
Mr.
repeat
Sunday
NYSC?
Dari.
We have to go back.
Okay, Vanguard, let's just read the papers. We don't have time to take it. Minimum wage, federal government directs payment by December 31st. Insecurity, gunmen kidnap federal high court judge and demand 50 million naira. CIA's doomsday prediction that Nigeria may come to pass, says Jega. Fulani headsmen kick against anti-open grazing bill in Oyo. Nigeria loses $15 billion to tax evasion. That's Fowler speaking. And picture the Guardian. Russia, Nigeria. Okay, we just hope this relationship
will work out.
Because a lot of these things,
because Russia is not somebody that I think we should be in bed
And I
with.
hope we have not signed away our destiny.
Hey, Russia.
They did not come. They're not your friends. That's just what people should realize.
just hope we have not signed
we need
away our
somebody. We need someone like Boyo. What's it? Mr. Henry Boyo.
Henry Boyo.
Come on, help us analyze this new relationship with China, with Russia. Because initially you're talking about China, now it's Russia.
Are they publicizing the agreements that have been made
We
and
know-
the conditions
We just
that
know
have been
that they are doing our.
I think if you ask the
also-
questions, this should be public.
They are also going to be training our military.
Yes.
Me, I like that one.
I watched the documentary of
But
what
it's
they're
not-
doing in Central African Republic.
Right.
I think that Nigeria should realize we need to domesticate our solutions by ourselves. Anybody coming to help you they have their own interests and their own agenda.
But we've been doing it ourselves for many years.
No, we
We're
have
not
not been doing
doing
it ourselves.
So we need to get somebody to help us break
it
this down,
down.
analyze this relationship, and see if it makes sense. And
they make
so
it
Nigerians don't feel threatened that somebody's coming to take away our resources and take to their own country. All right, we're going to go on a break now. When we come back, it's Thursday. Lots and lots of gist coming away. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So many times we hear women complain about the fact that men are not helping in any way with domestic chores. We're asking, therefore, why are most Nigerian or African men not hands-on? Is it based on our cultural beliefs, the way the men were raised, or just their ego? Joining us on the show is a Nigerian blogger, fashion enthusiast, and a public relations expert, Noble Chibuzo. Igwe, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Good to have you on.
Welcome.
So we're going to call, you can call us on 070-806-68014. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. I'm not going to throw questions at you because you're just going to respond, but I'd like to start with the ladies. Let me hear your thoughts on, would you like a man to be hands-on in the home? And if yes, what kinds of, how would you define hands-on?
Yeah.
Or would you prefer they stay in their corner while you do the womanly things?
You know, for me, at first, when you said, why are Nigerian men not hands-on? I think Nigerian men are hands-on.
Okay.
We're just saying, why are they not domesticated, right? Maybe they don't help to cook in the kitchen. But I really do think Nigerian men are hands-on, meaning, so they will do the tires, they'll do the car, they'll do the generator.
Not necessarily. Do you say your own? Because we all have different experiences.
Okay, so I know that men normally do change the bulbs. You know, yeah,
wow.
So they change the bulbs, they do the generator, they do the cars, mechanic. So that's hands-on. They are quite hands-on, but they are very scared of the kitchen or very afraid to also put a broom to the floor. And it's a bit difficult now because I think the reason why more women are speaking up about it is, you know, there used to be a time when it would just be the woman's territory. You go out, you make all the money, and you provide in that way for the family, and the woman has the role where she takes care of the family. But now she's going out to work at the same time as you are, probably even coming back later than you are doing. And sometimes it would help that instead of sitting in front of the TV, watching and cruising, you are helping. When she comes in, like, you know, I put the food in the microwave, or I quickly help the kids with the homework.
Okay, I don't want us to always make this about cooking, because the truth is that it's beyond that. Cooking is an aspect of what we like men to do, but there are other things, and I don't think a lot of men are hands-on. Because if you ask me, I'll tell you otherwise. Okay, let me come to you.
I have seen most men hands-on. Yes, because my own is so bad that my car stops in the middle of the road, and the first person I call is my husband. Yes, he does the bulb, he does the generator. It's just now that I don't stay with him every time that I have started learning how to do the generator and do some things in my car. And I know that my brothers too as well, they are that hands-on because I was the only girl in the house. They had to do practically everything. So, but for me, what I see is the fact that society has, you know, separated the roles. So they've made some roles feminine. And so anything feminine for a man makes him seem weak. And so they don't want to get into it. Then when it comes to house chores, because the boys have been raised to see the girls that this is your job, getting into that space to do those jobs will see themselves as weak. They are weak. You know, I remember one time my mother-in-law was gisting me, said when they came to Lagos for the first time, when the husband is assisting her in the kitchen and a relative comes, he rushes inside because he doesn't want them to see him in the kitchen helping out the wife. That's what society has done for us. But about being hands-on, I think let's cut the guys off.
I know of a man who I know, he's married and his wife needed tires for the cars and nothing happened. He's not hands-on. He didn't even bother with the tires. And for weeks or months, nothing happened. She had to eventually go and buy the tires herself. Some men don't handle things like carpentry work because basic things like paint, you know, things like changing the bulbs. Some men are not. It's not their own area. They prefer to get an expert to actually handle the light bulb changing. You can call an electrician, just change bulb. Or to even fix the handle. Something you can easily screw on. But some men, so don't assume that all men do that, because I know of some men that don't.
So I got married, and it was that kind of situation where my dad is a carpenter. My dad fixes everything in the house. I never had somebody come to fix our generator for us. He would pieces everything and arrange it back together. That was just the norm. When I got married, everything was, there's an expert that can do it now, calling the professional to do it. So when I had my kids, he was bathing the kids from when they were like 5 months. That wasn't the problem. He was nursing them from when they were babies. So cooking and all those stuffs were his area of strength. When I was thinking about it, preparing for this show, and I realized that my husband grew up without his father. My husband grew up with his mom. His father died when he was 6 years old. So he never had a male figure that was close to the home and that was doing
Those
male
things.
roles. So for him, he was pounding yam every day. That was his assignment. That was the last born he would pound yam.
Cooking.
So he was cooking. So when I got married, he cooks. So I think that it is from the upbringing. When we bring up our children, we bring them up to say, you are the man, you wash daddy's car. We don't put women into washing daddy's car. Men wash daddy's car. Women will cook and arrange the table for daddy. So when that boy grows up, he doesn't understand why you're asking him to
Cook and arrange the table.
Let's talk about this issue, because if they always tell us that for every organization, for every society, there has to be roles. Everybody has their own roles to play.
Yeah.
So how come women get touchy when men say, listen, it's your role, the kitchen is your stuff, domestic is your stuff, let me handle the other things. So we get really touchy. But do you think, do you feel in your own, as a man, that there should be specific roles, or we should actually just be both responsible for
all that needs to
everything
be done?
within?
I mean, I don't think there's a one rule that applies to every relationship or every marriage or every person. But the Nigerian man that wasn't hands-on was the Nigerian man of the old. The new Nigerian man is a lot more hands-on. The new Nigerian man knows how to cook.
Oh, there's a new Nigerian man.
Yeah.
Please tell us about him. We've not met him. We've now met this new Nigerian man. Please tell us.
I have.
The new Nigerian man is hands-on. The new Nigerian man knows about almost everything that he needs to know. The new Nigerian man would help bath the babies. The new Nigerian man will help fix meals. The new Nigerian man will help fix the tires. The new Nigerian man will help do a lot of things in the house. But the thing is, because of what the society has made it to be in the past, the new Nigerian man might not publicly come out to say, like, I do this, or like, I don't do that. And because the wives also don't want, or the sisters or whatnot that live with the Nigerian man does not want the public to think that the Nigerian man is too sissy, because they're doing this whole thing. So they don't come out to say that a lot. But there's a lot more Nigerian men who are willing to learn, to be a lot more involved in anything that helps.
I'm happy that you defined it as the new Nigerian man. So let's focus on this new Nigerian man.
How old is he, please? From what age range would you call
So
this
the new Nigerian man is probably in his, I mean, like the oldest would probably be in their mid-40s, because also with the internet and social media has also helped to re-educate the Nigerian man in terms of what is acceptable or what, like, you know, we can't borrow everything from the West.
Right.
But what we can do is look at our culture and our cultural heritage and see the things that need modified, that need to be modified, and modify them and find out something that that have always not been there. You know, back in the days, like I remember when I had a baby and my dad visited and I said I didn't sleep well at night, and he was like, why? I was like, because I was taking care of the baby. He was like, oh, he never carried any one of us. And to him, he could say that because in their own time, it was not acceptable for a man to, like, you know, carry their child or, like, you know, be awake or whatnot. But, like, it's changing now. So, I mean, right now, yeah.
Would you say it's changing? Because I think that the more aware and westernized, the Nigerian men are the westernized.
New Nigerian, let's
the
define
new
it.
Nigerian men. Are they not the westernized Nigerian men? Because we still have those that are in this same new Nigeria with the modernity of having a phone and can browse and do all of that, yet they have refused to embrace the new Nigerian men mentality.
No, the thing is, like, there's always going to be that minority or just a few of them who wouldn't do everything that is expected of them. But in the wider range, there are a lot of people who want to do a lot better. There are a lot of people who want to learn better. There are a lot of people who want to do better at what they do. There are a lot of people who want to, like, say, oh, you know what, they've read, they're more educated.
Information.
They have the information at their disposal. They want to play, they want to help their family. They want to be involved, especially for people who have kids. They want to be involved in their kids' life. They want to know, they want their kids to be able to tell them
Let me take
things.
you on that, because this new Nigerian man, and you see, and I'm happy you use that phrase. In fact, we need to start a hashtag, new Nigerian man, because the truth is that I want you to let's talk to women, because women have been exposed to a lot of information. So a lot of women are refined, and they're even refining. But they must also understand that this new Nigerian man is renewing himself on a daily basis. So sometimes we need to understand how to deal with the new Nigerian man, because,
the new Nigerian man needs encouragement. Like, I can give you an example. If I decide, let's say, if at the beginning, if I surprise my wife with maybe like breakfast, she'd probably be like, what do you want?
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. That's not encouragement.
Right. That's not encouragement.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that will make you go back and think, that will make you go back and, like, you know, like, women complain. Like, let's say for someone like me who is actually very social. So let's say I might have events and it's like back-to-back event, I'll be like, oh, you know what, I don't need to stress my wife for this event. But she might just be like, last weekend we went out like 4 times. You
didn't ask me to come.
And I think about it, but like, well, maybe I should have just gone with her. But I was just thinking about maybe this is not her thing. She'll probably be bored before we even start.
Oh.
But I might say, okay, maybe the next weekend I'll be like, oh, let's go. She'll be like, this one you're taking me out. So the new Nigerian man needs encouragement to do better. The new Nigerian
Nice to hear from you.
You know what? It's so refreshing.
Yeah, it is. And then it now answers the question. You know, some men will hear men say, what do women want? So I now get it now when you say, first, I don't take you out because I think I may be stressing you. And when I do, it's like, why are you doing it? So really, we are giving you guys mixed signals.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for me, I think we should, shouldn't it be communicated to her? Like, shouldn't you give her the option to, you know, maybe experience that event with you and decide tomorrow, hey, baby, we're going out, I'm not going, I beg, it's boring. Than just assuming, because most times a lot of couples have issues because one person is assuming something that the other person is not.
I'll let you answer that after this commercial break.
Okay, great.
Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So before the break, we're talking about the assumptions. Let me let you...
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's not an assumption. Sometimes it's about if you've gone out with your wife and if you experience that, like you guys have gone out and she's not comfortable like going out, and you guys get back home and she also feels that way. You guys go out, she complains about it. You guys go out, another time she complains about it. At some point, your mind sort of resets into thinking that this might not really be her crowd. So you have to now start redefining what you think her crowd is. Like I use my family as an example. Where my wife works in the corporate environment, some of my events are very industry related, either fashion, music, or any of those things. Some of the crowds are not really her crowd. So sometimes I have to always think and say, will she be comfortable in this crowd? Is this, like, you know, and sometimes, because she needs to go to work the following day, I can sleep till 12 noon. So, and I would also want to be considerate, but it might not be the best way to go. I think discussions are also important to say.
Okay. You know, go ahead,
Yes, I was going to also answer Obiajulu, because a lot of times also I hear women have this conversation where they say the man doesn't help out, and the man says, well, but you didn't tell me. And she says, well, I'm nobody's mother. You know, I'm not your mother. You should take initiative. And so your question too is like going back there, giving them mixed signals. Why are you assuming? But then you want me to take initiative. You don't want me to always have to come to you to ask you questions. You want me to take and do it. And so when I do it, why don't you just ask me why I did it instead of saying that I assumed and then therefore giving the new Nigerian man mixed signals again. Yeah.
Confusing them the Alex. Alex, are you there? Thanks for calling.
Okay.
Go ahead, please. You're live.
What I want to say is, most men, it is all about upbringing. That is the major thing. Like somebody like me, I think cooking is boring to me, right from my days in school, and also washing of plates and the rest of them. But I prefer when I do my laundry by myself, I'm comfortable with that, and also helping. I don't feel comfortable when someone washes the toilet or the bedroom for me. I feel the person will not do it well. I prefer do it by myself.
Good for you, sir.
So it's all about upbringing. Upbringing is the major thing, not the modern man, not the ancient man. My dad, being an old man,
All right, thank you very much. All right, let's go back to this new Nigerian man, because it's important that we are able to also understand and appreciate the efforts men do make.
Yeah.
Because a lot of women always feel as if you don't help me in the kitchen, you've not started helping. There's some men, someone like I'm married to an Ekiti man, and he's not my husband doesn't do kitchen stuff, no doubt. But he's probably the one man that loves his children the most I've ever met, because when he's around, he's with the kids, he plays, he engages them, they talk, they play, they do everything together. So, and even me, I don't know how to play. My own is just provide whatever I want to provide. So he does what he does. Yeah. But a Nigerian woman would always feel as if until you can enter the kitchen, you've not helped me. Until you buy me gifts, you've not done that new Nigerian man thing. So how do we balance it out such that once you have a man that is doing something, you should at least appreciate those efforts than just assume that he's not doing anything at all?
No, I don't agree with Alex when Alex says I don't think you should clean the toilet because you don't feel like it's clean enough. It's another person that does it. I think you should clean the toilet because the toilet needs to be cleaned, and you're just playing a role. Like it doesn't. You can't say, oh, you know what? I'm helping my wife cook because I would enjoy a meal cooked by another person. It's a lot more balanced when you're saying, like, you know, the division of labor. I'm cooking food because my wife came back from work late. Or she doesn't have to come from work late. I'm cooking food because I want to cook food for the family today. Cook? I don't cook. I don't cook because I didn't learn how to cook, but I also do make effort to make sure that I measure up in the other ways. But the thing is also, by the grace of God, we also work hard to be able to employ people that cook for us. So I don't think the cooking is.
So cooking is not a big deal for you.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's for the household. For the household.
Right.
So my playing a role exactly. So my playing a role to cook isn't supposed to be this thing, but the measure for. But it's other things that I'm meant to do that will make sure that I play a part. So the thing also, like, I'm an Igbo man. And without trying to sound like I'm not most of the Igbo men, I try to work hard to make sure so that some of that things are taken care of, so that even when I do play my role, it's a lot more balanced. So my wife's name is Chama. So what would Chama want? Chama would, like, you know, let's say, for example, on Monday, when I was going out, her car was the last car in the compound, so I took it out. When I was driving, the driver was like, well, her fuel is in reserve. And I WhatsApped her to say, "Babe, probably give me a fuel. The car that your fuel is in reserve." I don't need her to tell me to buy fuel, to put fuel in the car on my way back, even though it's something that she would love to do because she likes to buy her fuel, she likes to do her own thing. But the thing is, like, the new Nigerian man, like I said, is regardless of what your upbringing is, you have decided to be a better man than where you're coming from.
So let me pause you for a second, because we all say upbringing, that's an excuse. Let me take Brenda. Brenda, are you there?
Yes.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, we're talking about the new Nigerian man and all that. Well, my husband, naturally, he would say, whatever it is you want, just tell me, and I will do it. Sometimes I go angry, I'll just be angry, like when I'm doing things and it's just there, he's not doing anything, I'm like, okay, don't you just know that you have to help me do this? And sometimes they'll be like, why are you angry? I'm like, don't you know that you're supposed to do this? Like, ask me whatever it is. You know, when it comes to bathing the children, he does it. But sometimes it takes time. Like when it's cleaning the house, for instance, it might just take like 1 hour in what I would do for 15 minutes. You know, most times I just like, okay, just forget about it, let me do it myself, just leave it, you know. So men, they do things, you know, it's not about, they don't even think about it like, oh, she's a woman, and the man.
So there are new Nigerian men out there. We must celebrate them. Thank you very much for Brenda for sharing your
I wanted to talk about upbringing and the fact that all of us can claim this was how I was brought up.
Yes.
And then we don't do what we need to do.
If I tell you how I was brought up, I won't do jack.
Oh, yes, I won't do jack, trust me.
So, and I say it all the time, I wasn't brought up to clean and cook everything in the house, but when I got married, I knew my responsibilities.
Yeah.
But I think that the real issue is that we don't define what these responsibilities are in marriage. So you can come to the house for me and my husband, you can be my husband and you are very hands-on, change bulb, generator, fix my car, but you're not doing the things I need in the house. I wouldn't mind you not doing that and you just help with the children, but you do all the household chores, but you're not helping with the children. So
but shouldn't you be willing to compromise?
I think that men and women, husbands and wives, need to define what is the most important use of their time per time. So if the children need help with homework and I'm in the kitchen and you are outside
doing
fixing generator, what are we doing? We're leaving the children alone at that time. You can say, I'm not used to raising the children or taking care of them, but when we have discussed it, you will decide that everybody is learning. If you get employed in a new place of work, they'll give you a job description. You find a way to meet up with the criteria. Yeah. When you become married, you become a husband. You need to meet up with the criteria of being a husband. Don't say, I was brought up like this. You are now a man. You are now married. You are now a husband. What would you do in this house to make it work?
To what Igwe has just said. I think when we are in that courtship phase, a lot of questions that we should be asking is not what we ask. We are carried away with other things. And I hear most men say, I've done everything for you. What do you want me to do again? And the woman is saying, you are not touching me. This is not what I want. You're not speaking my language. There are people who, their love language is acts of service. That means that even if you drop 100 billion every day and you don't help me to sweep when I'm sweeping, you have not touched my heart.
So how do you respond to someone for a woman saying that?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I want to also respond to Brenda that's saying that the husband takes a longer time to clean. Yeah, I think what the husband needs at that point isn't to say, give me, let me do it for you. What he needs is encouragement to say, last week it took you 1 hour to clean. I'm actually very impressed. This week it took you 40 minutes to clean. You have to encourage and also stylishly let him know that he can do this faster and in a short period of time. So and also in speaking love languages, everybody have different love languages. And also, like they say, like in a relationship, you probably be able to meet someone who has about 70% of what you want. Yeah. But communication is also key, where people say the things that they want. And, we can speak all the English on the internet or anything, but a man is also different from a woman. So for some men, for some women, they need to be told things. Like, they need affirmation, they need to be told, I love you. A man might think, because, yes, exactly. So, like, my wife, I'll give you an example. I use myself as an example. So Chama might probably go to the salon and come back, and I'll be like, babes, please pass me the remote control. She gives it to me, and she now walks upstairs, and I'm like, okay, what have I done? She now says, you didn't even see my hair. I'm like, oh, sorry. Oh, hi, your hair is nice. But I go to the salon every day. and I come back.
And you don't notice that you've had a haircut.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Did you tell her?
No, but it doesn't bother you. Exactly, it doesn't bother me. But it's not like, but I start thinking like, so if you don't tell me this and it does not bother me,
it shouldn't.
Then how come? But it's not right because that's me not assuming that for me it's not supposed to be a big deal. I mean, it's a hair, like you know,
When we come back, we'll try to conclude this and then move to our next topic afterwards. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. Do we have any tweets?
Let's
check if we don't want to take our audience.
I want to ask you a question, though. Yeah. I realize that you're speaking from wealth of knowledge, and I don't want us to assume that everybody has that same information. Some people, the only information they have right now is that I am the man of the house. I have provided financially for this household. You should appreciate me for the fact that I've been a responsible man. And the woman is watching you and saying, yeah, I've made a mistake. Who did I marry? I'm wondering, how will she transform this average Nigerian man into being the new Nigerian man? What does she need to do? How does she give him the information? In what manner should she present that knowledge that she's acquiring to her husband to make it work?
I mean, I always tell people, like, I don't speak like as an expert, because I wouldn't say I've been in marriage for like 20 years or anything. But the thing is, like, also, if you grew up in a family, there's certain things you see your parents do, or you see your dad do, especially in an Igbo home. And some of the things you tell yourself you wouldn't want to do going forward, you know, that kind of thing. So my dad was very shouty. And when I grew up, I said I wasn't going to be like the shouty person. So like in my family, I'm the one who doesn't really say much. I keep quiet. And in terms of argument, which is not like a good thing. So if we argue, having an argument, and if I'm trying to talk and you talk back at me, then I will like, you know what, it's fine. But the thing is, the women need to communicate and tell their partners what they want and what they're doing right. You have to find the time that works. You know, it can't be when he's watching his favorite movie. Just like you wouldn't want your husband to, like, you know, come to, like, engage you, maybe, like, you know. And the thing also a lot of homes miss is people, I think families also need to socialize as a family. They need to have common friends. Not because you want to gossip them, or gossip about them, but just want to learn something that they're doing nice. They can invite me in your own marriage or in your own home. And find that's like how you work, so you know, that kind of thing. So in some cases, you go to a house where the man seems to be, like, you know, they want the kids run to, and maybe in your own house, they want, like, you know, this is funny because I had a conversation with one of my drivers, and he goes like, oh, his daughter nobody disturbs him. They just serve him food when he gets home, and he goes to his room. And I was like, how is that like a life? He said because he does not want his family to ever disrespect him. So for some people, that's
your driver.
Yeah, that's an upbringing. That's his upbringing. That's how he thinks life should be. So to him, the man of the house is the person who sits at the top, who they relay every information. He doesn't interact. So maybe when he comes home, he has his own special plate. Like, you know how they serve him his own cup, special cup and everything. So they serve him food, he eats, then he goes to the room. Maybe if they need anything, they make a list and they send to him and everything. So,
but interacting with you?
But when interacting with me, I try to teach him this is how to do it. You know, I try to do all those things. I have conversation with, even yesterday when he was driving me, he was like, I haven't socialized a lot this few weeks. He said, because when you go home now, you're stuck with Jasmine. So which means he also noticed that sometimes when I go to pick my daughter from school, I end up not going out anymore. Even though my daughter is still young, she can't even speak. We can't have conversations. But the little things of daddy remote control, daddy cartoon, daddy change it's conversation, and I'm learning from there.
I want to ask a question. So this new Nigerian man, would you say, maybe also to the other ladies, would you say that this new Nigerian man is appealing to most Nigerian women? Or does the Nigerian woman actually like her average, traditional Nigerian man?
So the thing, like, you know, if I sit here and talk about what the Nigerian women want, some of them might not be happy. I don't want to put them in a blanket and everything, but there's also have to be an unlearning on both sides. Unlearning on both sides is encouragement and not to judge your partner with your parents or your past experiences. So sometimes people, go ahead.
Let me take this call from Williams. He's been holding for a while. I'm so sorry, Williams.
And sometimes people take people always, like, you know, because of past experiences, some people are in a cage and they don't want to give room for disappointment. So, I mean, you've been in a relationship where the man does not help in the kitchen, the man does not help in cooking, and that's because you don't want to be disappointed. You also take that role up in your relationship or marriage or anything. But unlearning can happen to everybody. People need to sit down as a family to say, you know what, we've been doing this way. How about we try this? And people need to be men, especially Nigerian men, need to be open to learning new things. It's not perfect. No marriage is perfect. No relationship is perfect. No two persons is perfect. But you need to be open to learning new things and giving room for new, like, you know, and that's
so
it.
just to hop on what you just said now, it's about flexibility.
Yes.
You're getting into a relationship. This should be more like a partnership with your spouse.
Yes.
So we have to sit down and design what works for us and have our own unique template. So I'm not going to be copying what Tokwe is doing or what Mariah is doing in her marriage, but I'm going to be working according to what we have designed that will work for us. Yes, I can be inspired by, but I'm not going to put, because a lot of women put their husbands under so much pressure of, do you see what this married husband is doing
do you know how much
so
and because of and there's always a strength. So but the thing, like, people, that's what I said, there's no particular way that it works. So in my marriage, so Choma knows the mechanic number, so she can call her mechanic to say, come check on this car. But she also says, babes, please speak to this guy on the cost. So there's that division of labor or anything. She might say to me, she may say, oh, you know what, no, don't pay, I'm going to pay, but just make sure you bring down the cost for me. So but there has to be that understanding to say that this is why I keep telling, like, you know, it's not easy. Like, even a lot of people say, Onobo, you style, but my wife is the hardest person I will ever style.
Wow. I think you might want to. This person says, his name is Goke Isiba. He says, I personally take exception to the phrase new Nigerian man. Men should do everything that will make his wife feel loved and do what works for them. More so, our women are becoming too westernized. What do you think?
The thing is, like, you know, people say these things. Westernized, when people say westernized, right, what comes to my mind is, like, men just want to be head of house. Nigerian, the African man just want to be seen as the head of house. So yes, exactly. So they don't want anything that will change that. So but the thing is, like, if you really want to be the head of house, you can be the head of house, but also doing things in the same house. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Make enough money and make sure that you support your wife. To, like, you know, some Nigerian men, I don't do blanket sentences, but some people keep their wife out of work so they can have control in the house.
Yes. That's a characteristic of an Igbo man, is that correct?
It's not, it might not be characteristic of an Igbo man, but it could be something that's, because some of the Igbo men were so much into trading, so they don't have a lot of education. So sometimes in the past, you find out people who didn't go to school, when it's time for them to get married to somebody who's educated. But they also have this in their small groups where it's being discussed that if you let your wife because of her school, she will ruin you. So the only thing that they would do is just to keep her at home to be like a trophy wife, but at the same time not work because he's providing for the house. But the thing is, like, that's why I said to you about, so education had come and have taught us to say two people can actually achieve more if they work in sync and they agree to a common goal. Fantastic. And that's what, so the Nigerian man is that man who is willing to work in sync with his partner to achieve the goal that they want to achieve.
So I lost a friend, a friend of mine lost a huge contract for me because she had a different style of her marriage and I had a different style. And in my own marriage, I handle all the transactions. So let's take, for instance, I want to change the settee in the house. And my husband would just tell me, okay, find out the one you want, discuss with the person, what's the price, and send the money. So I handle all of those transactions. But in her style of marriage, it's the man who's supposed to. And so when I wanted to have that conversation with the person who was supposed to deliver, which happened to be her husband, I was instructed not to have that transaction with the husband. And so I moved the transaction to somebody else because my husband does not have time to start choosing it's BC that handles that. So when you have such a situation where, you know, somebody's trying to use their model for your model, how do you handle it in society?
So it's a tricky thing because, you know, we also say that different things work for different people approach things from different angles. But I always say, I don't want to use the word counseling, but everybody you know have someone that they respect. Everybody that we know, whether your partner or anything, have people that they listen to. But it's a gradual shift, and say, like, it's also comes down with movies, or like, you know, sometimes when I want to talk about Chioma, I could just see a tweet and I just send it WhatsApp to her the tweet. She will read it, she get the information I want to pass from the tweet, and we keep it going. But the thing is, we need to find out what works in people's home and also tell them your experience and try to find a middle ground of how this thing works. And sometimes some women also have, or some people, I don't want to use women, some people have held on so much on every aspect of their upbringing that they forget to learn new things. I'm not saying that upbringing is bad, but the thing is, like, you have to take what, like, you know, I was raised in an Igbo home where there's a husband and a wife, they live together, they have children, they move from flats to like bigger houses and all the rest of them. But the thing is also, in growing up, also have to agree to the part that some people grew up in one room and their experience about life can never be the same with mine. Do you get what I'm trying to also tell people, like, in my own marriage, I'm the communal person. My wife grew up in a gathered environment where, like, it's herself and her family. I grew up in a place where cousins would just knock on the door and you open the door, and you know, that kind of, everybody calls you on time. So you have to sit down and try to find the middle ground for that.
Break. Let me take a few tweets to round up on this.
Okay, Omo Yoma Emmanuel says, as a man, I support my wife with stuff at home. I don't know of other men. The only thing I wish to say is that women should try and appreciate their husbands for the little they do at home to support them. They shouldn't expect too much as not to get hurt.
Akinari says,
Bilkis says, it's all of the above: culture, ego, upbringing, rigidity on the part of men who are still treading in their father's footsteps. Every woman requires different kind of support. Men should pay attention to their partner, understand your wife, and meet her needs as humanly as possible.
Akinari says, my day starts 5 a.m. with 3 boys. I do the birthing, dress up, breakfast, and I drop them off in school while Madam picks them from school. Some of us are hands-on. Osai Kingsley says, I want to agree completely with your guest on the new Nigerian man. I want to also add that in Nigeria, men are giving more to the marriage relationship than the women.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, we can't, as you said, not one rule fits all. We all have to, everybody's homes are different. I know my husband sorts out dropping up the kids in school. I do the picking up, and we all have roles, and we don't let those, and every house is different. So pick what works for you, and try to encourage,
domesticate the information.
Encourage your spouses, because don't always judge, but continually encourage, because when you do that, you definitely get that new Nigerian man. Let's go on a break. When we come back, another story caught our attention. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
All right, thanks for staying with us. So recently, a popular sex therapist, Jeruma, in her recent post on Instagram said that mothers-in-law are the main cause of the rising rate of divorce in different homes in Nigeria. She was actually referring to Davido's wife. Chioma does not have a mother-in-law, and that's why they seem to be happy. Lots of people went for her on Instagram. Some agreed, others did not. What are your thoughts on this? You can call us on 070-8066-8014. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. Okay. I'm not giving an intro to this, so please go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So I kind of feel, I think it's sad, and I also think it's a culture that we need to kill. Because the young people say they want to marry into families that does not have mother-in-law, forgetting that someday they may become the mother-in-laws. So you can't wish death on your spouse's mother just because you don't think, you don't want drama. But the thing is, like, I keep telling people, like, for families, there's no one, I'm not saying I'm the best or the perfect, there's no one way to do things. You know, I have this conversation with my wife where I tell Chum, I say, I make effort. I make plans to be in good terms with your family. Do the same with mine. I will not call you to be an advocate for my case with your family. I'm going to find ways to do things to make sure that it works for me and all the rest of them. I mean, if I share my WhatsApp messages, maybe like the first 4 messages will be from my mother-in-law. Because I try to update her on things. It could be, so my mother-in-law is a judge. So if I see anything that has to do with the judge, let's say when the judge was kidnapped, I messaged her to say, we just saw that one. When she sees something, maybe like a prayer verse or something, she sends to me. And it is because I want it to be that way. And with the way of things, my father-in-law, my mother-in-law are no longer together, but I also make sure as their son-in-law that I make sure that I balance their relationship.
So let me come to the ladies.
For me, I had no idea of what mother-in-law's perspective should be. I didn't see it in my family growing up. My both parents lost their mothers, so there was no influence from that side. So when I got married, I met my husband's mom doesn't stay in Lagos, so I didn't really have to. I only met her once before the wedding day, but because I'd heard so much about the influence of negative mother-in-laws, I was looking. I was looking for it. I was looking for. I was fishing for trouble where there wasn't. So when I met her and we got married and I was keeping in touch, I was just wondering at what point will she show me the real color and who she is. And I think that what you look for, you will find. So it took me having my own kids, and I had twin boys. Immediately I had my children, and I said, you are now a mother-in-law.
Only you in-laws.
And that very moment, I just said I wanted to start. I made up my mind to sow a seed in being good to my mother-in-law as a way to say that, okay, you don't care, you don't know what the future will hold, but you will be a mother-in-law to two women right now. So decide to invest positively in your mother-in-law. But I think I was fishing in my first few weeks of marriage. on how she will show herself, and I've been blessed. She's not a stressful person at all.
So I am okay. So for me, I had. My mother-in-law is late, but I had a fantastic mother-in-law. You know, everybody.
So you met her before she died?
Yes, I met her before she died, and everyone keeps saying to me, "Oh, you didn't even enjoy her as much as we enjoyed her." So the other sisters are like, "You didn't even enjoy her the way we enjoyed. She did this for us, did this for us," and I saw that a little part of that when she was alive. But I didn't also come with a mindset. I didn't, as Tokwe said, I didn't even know that there was supposed to be that. But after a while, you know, sitting down talking to women, I hear the story of the mother-in-law often, and I have two friends who would give you like stories and how they are no longer in their marriages and the involvement of the mother-in-law. But in my own personal, from their stories, what I see is that no, the mother-in-law is just the scapegoat. The reason for the divorce in a home is because the marriage is not working. There should be boundaries, yes, but who is supposed to set that boundary? So the son or the daughter would set the boundaries with the parents. And I've seen people say to girls that they're in relationships with, my mother does not like this relationship. When the mother is not in the picture, the relationship still does not work. So I think that people have found someone that they can just use to wield and manipulate people. I don't think that the mother-in-law on her own, yes, they are difficult people, definitely, but you would decide how you want to run your home.
But there's some mother-in-laws that vow that because you married their son or wife out without their own permission, without their consent, they will make life difficult. So I've seen those kind of stories. But still, you're right in some areas. But there's some women that insist that you cannot marry either their son or their wives.
I mean, it's tricky. And it's also funny being here, being Igbo, and knowing that a lot of people also have some resentment against Igbo mother-in-laws. But they think the Igbo man sort of respect and listen to his mother like a law. But if you've ever had a child, you also remember, or you actually realize how much women or mothers love their children. Do you understand? And in some cases, it's about people knowing how to manage things or their relationship with their mom. And you as an Igbo man, I'm using Igbo people as an example now, or you as a man of the house need to find ways to make sure that the relationships are better managed. Let me give an example. I may think my mother needs a new pair of slippers, and I will send money to Choma to give to my mom, even though I could have bought the same thing and sent to my mom. But I just have to make an effort to make sure that my wife and my mom are in good terms and that they're close. So it's not going to be the most, because your wife always have her mother. Her own mother is always going to be her mother. So your mother, her mother-in-law will always be the second person after her mother. But the relationship can always be better. But the chat, sorry, like I know we're going to take a call.
No, it's a call. I have calls waiting for you.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Let's pick up.
Good morning. Are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. Please, I'm so happy about this topic. I was going about calling to let you know that there's a topic I would like you to discuss. Thank God this topic came up. Yeah, I would like you first of all to deal on the topic seriously on how wives should deal with mommy's boy. Because
Mama's
personally, boy. Yes, mama's boy, whatever they call it. Personally, early in the marriage, okay, before marriage, my mother-in-law didn't want me. In fact, I was the first person my husband ever told that she agreed to marry. So along the line, she said she doesn't want me anymore. Along the line, we got married. Not up to, like about 6 months into the marriage, she moved into our house. After I had my first child, she wanted to stay permanently. I was loving, in fact, I was so close to her, people didn't know she was my mother-in-law. Well, along the line, staying too close, staying too long, my husband, I didn't quickly realize he was acting or he was exhibiting traits of a mama's boy. Until I started having issues with his mom, teaching me how to treat her son, telling me the food will be enough, cooking his food, even when I put to bed, the very day I get home, she's asking me what her son will eat, instead of taking care of me. So along the line, I started having issues with her, not because I didn't love her. I loved and I still love her. Just recently, I realized that it's all because of my husband. It's not her fault. If my husband wasn't the mama's boy, if he put boundaries, I won't be having issues with her.
Thank you very much, Joy, for this example. Mama's boy, how do we do that?
Yeah, I think like in everything, there's mama's boy, there's daddy's girl.
Yeah.
Let's not confuse that. Like most female children are very close to their father, and sometimes father. But I think like fathers can come to live with their daughters. But I think it lies so much on the head of the individual to create the boundary, and it's not something that is going to be taught in the school. It's sometimes something you use his friends to try to teach him on how to manage his home.
If he has bad friends.
No, even if he has bad friends, there has to be someone, there has to be people have people they listen to. I keep saying people have someone they listen to, right? But you also don't have to, you can't do it from a place of hate. Yeah. It has to be that thing of, we need to make sure the mommy is properly taken care of, but you also know that our house is expanding, our home is expanding, so we need to make sure that mommy, is a conversation you have with your partner, and he speaks with, it can't be you going to his mother to tell the mother how he wants him to, whether she wants her to leave or anything. But some men, see, in everything, listen, we can speak all the English we want to speak today, but there's also some people who, they would rather say, woe is not their issue, they just like having their mother, but men need to do better. You need to protect your spouse.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I give you.
You need to protect the person that you married. And you need to make, like, listen, I used to report to my mom, to my dad, when I feel like my mom is overstepping. Because so if I feel like if I tell her this, especially what it has to do with my family, if she wouldn't listen, I'll call my dad to say, this is what my mom is doing. Sometimes it causes problem where my dad will be like, why are you getting involved? But people have people they listen to. And sometimes when you're talking to the person and they seem not to be listening, they have to tell them. But the thing is, like, it's a circle. Right. That sometimes if you forget that you once complained of something and then you find yourself in that mess. People talking about mother-in-law, sorry.
It's okay.
There's some sister-in-laws that are worse than mother-in-law.
Yes. We know
especially when they're older than the wife.
And they're not married.
And they're not married. Even sometimes when they're married, they still come to the house to try to make the laws in a
they're not happy in their marriage. So I wouldn't want us to, I'm weary of, having like a blanket definition of mother-in-laws, because a lot of young women go into marriage with the mindset, like Tokbe said, that my mother-in-law will show me.
Yeah.
So they prepare for the showing before they get into that marriage. I am one of those very favored ones to have a mother-in-law who is amazing. I always say it, I'm shining today because she has my back. Yeah. So if I had gone with that mentality of she's definitely going to do something, I would have prepared and I would have, we would have had issues. So, but I also understand the place of the man stepping up as the man. That was one of the things that also saved me early in the marriage. And before I got into that marriage, I told myself as a young girl that this life, I can't kill myself. if I go to your house, I told my husband then, I said, if I go to your house and your mother doesn't like me, I won't marry you. And he was like, no. I said, I'm just telling you, if I go to a family and I sense that I'm not welcome there, I don't want to fight, you know, have
lifetime
to be,
battle.
fighting. Because the truth is, if you have a mother-in-law who does not support your marriage, you will definitely have issues. Even when they support your marriage, I have issues with my husband. You will definitely have issues that may need their intervention. And trust me, if they don't support you in that marriage. So sometimes it's easy for us to, you know, I think we should just weigh things and not be in a hurry to rush into things as women. You know what you want and just find a way to save yourself stress.
And sometimes we talk a lot about the mother-in-law and the issues that she brings into the home, but I never hear us talk about how to address it. It always comes to the point where either they're shouting at each other or one person has left. Is there a place of sitting that woman down and say, I would like to have a conversation with you, ma? What is the reason? Without screaming and shouting. Without screaming and shouting.
It's your own child. I'll discuss it. So I was born and I grew up in Aba, in Abia State. My father was the head of the house. He made the money. My mother works in the factory, my dad, and all the rest of them. So my mom visited once, and it was about 9 p.m. I think it was on a Friday. Choma needed to go to the movies. So she told me, let's go to the movies. I'm like, babes, I don't want to go to the movies. She goes downstairs, she gets into the car, she went to the movies. My mother called me to say, why is your wife going to the movies at 9 p.m. at night alone, and you allowed her? I said, Mommy, when Choma goes to the movie, there will be her mates that are married, that are seeing the movies. And she has not given me any reason before to suspect that it's not the movie that she's going to. Why would she not go to the movies? Do you understand what I'm saying? I say, do you want to go to the movies with her? I said, if you want to go, let her go. But for me, I just want to stay in the house and watch TV. Let her, you know the thing. But the thing is that people, that's what I say to you, individuals have roles to play. You need to know when to caution.
Let me give you my one example, because just this morning, because I live in my house. My mother-in-law lives with me. My grandmother-in-law lives with us. Now, people see me and like, how are you coping? I'm like,
there's nothing there.
There's nothing there. There's absolutely nothing. Because once they hear my mother-in-law, my grandmother-in-law are staying in the same house, they're wondering, that whole house, hey, Mariah, Peleo, and I'm wondering, I'm actually fine. Because the truth is that it's how you manage the relationship. I came back home, I said late, it was last night, I think 2 nights ago. My mother-in-law, she observed that I've been going home pretty late recently. So she just came to me like this morning, she was trying to just, I knew she was trying to elicit questions, like, what's going on? This is that you're constantly, I know how to get the information. I just called her and I said, Ma'am, it is work. It's just for a short time. Once I stabilize, I'll come back home earlier, you know. But I knew, but another woman would hear that and would think she's prying. That why does she want? What's her business? Also, there's a lot that has to do with how the women handle the situation. Because no mother-in-law really wants to come and destroy her sons.
That's a blanket statement as well.
Many grandmother-in-laws
I think that we're dealing with mother-in-laws from the perspective of the husband's mother. But we have the wife's mother. Exactly. And they are also very strong. I'm an only child. I'm very close to my mom. My mom is my mom is in my household. If we didn't define and set boundaries early in the marriage, she would have been more influential inside my marriage. And while I understand it is out of love, I'm thankful for the grace of God that let me immediately cut it and let my mom know that, Mommy, I am now married. And I had that conversation with her. I told her, I'm married. My husband is number one. And because I made that clear, she didn't like it. She was angry for days. I'm not talking to you again. I'm not coming to your house again. You don't love me anymore. So I'm my only child. She's nurtured me all her life. So
two children.
I could understand why she was angry, but later she got to understand that I needed to protect my home, and I said I need to protect my home, and because I had that conversation with her, I protected my husband. So man and woman, you must protect your marriage and have that conversation with your parents so that they will respect and honor your partner.
And you know, Tokwe, it's actually the opposite in my case, because I'm really, really close to my mother, but she's the one that would say to me, no, I'm an in-law. There's some things I can't do. There's some boundaries. And there's something that they say in Hausa, in English, it would be that if you don't respect yourself as an in-law, you bring disrespect even to your child. So it's very important that there's a way that the in-law carries herself when she comes to her son-in-law's home. So so sometimes it may not even be, what I'm trying to say, that sometimes it may not even be the mother-in-law's issue. It's actually your wife. So it comes back to the point where we say it's really the husband or wife that determines.
I mean the dynamics are different. Like in my own case, my wife, there are 3 girls in their house. So they don't have a brother, right? So when I was getting married to my wife, my mother-in-law told me that she has 3 girls. If I do marry any of her daughter, I'll become her first son. Aww. Do you get it? So, but like every relationship, people have fights. Like I remember the first time, I can't remember, Chama made me angry, and I reported her to her mom, then her mom called her, and I was still talking with her. She was giving me my phone. I said I was going to speak to my mother-in-law. I didn't think I was going to ever be able to say that in my life, to say, I don't want to talk to her. So, okay, then when I realized what I just did, but it took me a while to also like apologize and everything. But the thing, like, because I know she has these 3 girls that she has lived with most of her life, it would be unfair to make my house uncomfortable for her. So so sometimes I have to make room and say, I really like when she comes to the house, because then she can have conversations with Choma. They can have an extension of what they've been used to without me, So, but the thing is, like, like I said, every house is different. So we look at the dynamics of your own house and make sure that everybody is happy. Because this whole thing, people are dragging things that are not important. I'm trying to say, like, about who's in the house, who ate food. Sometimes when my mother-in-law comes to the house, I'm happy. When she comes to the house, listen, if my mother-in-law comes on Wednesday, it means on Thursday we are eating major. She buys everything, she will cook. See, my mother-in-law wants to offer me food, sometimes I get shy. My mother-in-law is a judge, and in the morning when I'm going to work, she asks, "What do you want for breakfast?" Mommy, what do I want for breakfast? Now give me food.
I have to round up. But thank you so much, because it was such a pleasure hearing your
Mariah, can we adopt him?
And I think there's something about this Choma name. This name, this Choma. They're good wives, though. In fact, my daughter's now, the new name is Choma.
They get good men.
So if you want your wife, your daughter to get a good man, just name her Choma, because these Chomas are really, really trending. But thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.
That's all we can take on today's show. I hope you learned a lot as we did. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.